Daria, can you remind folks who don't remember where you were last week?
So a little bit of a background. For those of you that don't know, so I am born and raised in Ohio, but I did spend a little bit of time in Florida. So I have some very dear friends down there that I miss terribly. I got a call last week from someone I used to work with, a good friend of mine I haven't seen in a really long time. Someone else that we knew that we also worked with had passed away in a head-on car crash. Her name was Jess. She was 38, and she has 4 young children. So obviously that was quite a shock. We were devastated. And so I made the decision. I went down to Florida last week so I could be with some friends and her family and be there for the services.
It's a hard decision to make for a lot of reasons, but it's the right thing to do is hard. And because I can't imagine how emotional and difficult that the wake was, if you went to that, or the funeral. Yeah, no, we went to visitation.
It was a hard decision. I had the tickets pulled up on my computer, and I hadn't yet pulled the trigger and hit purchase. I was on the phone with my mom. Jimmy's like, go, whatever you need to do. Like, we'll make it work. You can go. And I was on the phone with my mom, like, Mom, I really don't want to go. I'm exhausted, but I need to go. And so I went. Wasn't thrilled about it. Obviously, no one wants to, fly across the country for a funeral, but it was the right decision. And so for visitation, this is a small town, and it seemed like the entire town was there. We waited an hour and a half to get through the receiving line. The funeral home was just packed. So we get there, and there's an open casket, which we're actually surprised at. With the extent of her injuries. We were shocked that she was presentable enough for that. And so I walk up there, was not expecting to see her, and I broke down. And the kind of the cool thing is so her parents, who had actually never met before, wonderful, wonderful people. Her dad just comes up and he just embraces me. Her mom was just thrilled that we were there. We were just swapping stories. And even though so her husband and her parents, even though they're in the midst of their grief because they've lost, their wife and their daughter, they're asking me and another friend of mine who had flown in for the funeral, do you guys have a place to stay? Wanting to make sure that we were taken care of. Like, yes, we were staying with this other friend. Thank you. Just amazing, wonderful people. Handling it shockingly well. Struggling, obviously, but handling it shockingly well. And then for the actual funeral service, it was held at her church, and it was unlike any funeral service I've ever been to. There was crying, obviously, but it was very worshipful. People gave messages on her life and how much she loved Jesus and how much she would want other people to know Jesus.
Wow.
So someone actually got saved at her funeral.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Wow.
Her 14-year-old daughter led Goodness of God, kept it together, did an amazing job.
14?
She's 14 or 15. I can't remember. She's very young, just lost her mom, and led worship at her mother's funeral. It was just the most unbelievable thing the hardest and probably the best thing I think I've ever been a part of. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Wow. Now, there are folks who would kind of, they'd feel horrible, but they probably wouldn't make the effort to go. You said it was the right thing to do, but a really hard thing to do. Why do you think it was right that you went?
Because I needed that closure. I hadn't seen her in a really long time. I was feeling a lot of guilt for not keeping in better touch. So it was just the right thing to do. I got to see her family. Her family was just so touched that we came all the way. They were shocked to see us. It meant a lot to them. And I also, I got to be with people that knew her. I got to see a friend of mine who was also very close to her that I had not seen in almost 2 years. So it was, there were some nice moments in between the heartache and the tragedy because we were able to be there for each other and catch up and reminisce. It was nice.
Do you feel to some extent you were able to better process it because you went?
I think so. Just seeing how, the video clips they played was actually kind of prophetic. So she actually also worked at a radio station, and when she quit this job that we had both had, her final sign off was, don't think of me, think of Jesus.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, just she loved Jesus. She didn't want any credit. She wanted everything to be for him. So just to hear her from, beyond the grave, so to speak, talking about how much she loved Jesus and how that's all that matters was really healing and really comforting.
Well, we're grateful that you went.
Yeah,
I know
me too.
It's a hard exercise. Sarah and I have done that before, and it means so much to people when you go to an effort for their loved one like that. And it's not just, going some afternoon, taking a quick drive.
I got on a plane.
And that to me demonstrates the weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. It's you're making the effort to do that, and it just means the world to them. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're glad you're back, but we're also glad you went.